So in today's video, I want to speak to you about the intensity in your workouts and more precisely, the intensity within your sets, because there's a reoccurring theme I see, and I most often see this amongst beginners or people who are in their earlier days of resistance training, although I do see it as well in people who have been resistance training for a little while longer. I was actually guilty of doing this myself for like up to almost about a year and a half, which is way too long to be doing this for, but that's partly because I didn't reach out to anyone to help me, or I at least took way too long to start reaching out for people to help me. I was being stubborn about it. But anyway, that story is for another day. But what I mean by the intensity within your sets is that what I see happen often, and this is understandable at the beginning because you're just figuring out resistance training, you're doing it for the first time, but eventually there does come a point where you need to start putting more thought towards the intensity in your sets, where let's say you're doing a barbell row and the rep range that you want to aim for in your barbell row is 8 to 10 reps. Most people right now, this is what you're potentially doing, is you're just picking up a random weight. Like you look at it and you just think, oh yeah, I can do that. You pick it up, do 8 to 10 reps because your plan says 8 to 10 reps, then you put it down and that's it. That's not what we want to be doing anymore. What we want to be doing moving forward is I want you to pick up a weight. And then by the time you've done 8 to 10 reps, I want you to ask yourself, okay, now that I've done that set, how many reps did I feel like I had left in me? Because if you felt like you had more than 2 reps left in you, that is a good way to tell that you have gone too light. You've gone way too light. That was a warm up. You need to go again and you need to increase the weight. This is also why I sometimes get messages. I've had messages in the past from people when they're just starting out in their earlier days. They're like, oh, my rest times are going on for way too long. Like, can I rest less time? That's when someone asks me if they can rest less time. To me, that's like, okay, I can tell straight away that you're not pushing yourself hard enough in your sets. You're picking up weight that is way too light and you need to start going heavier. Okay. And the best way to tell if you should start going heavier is by the time, as I said, by the time you finish your set, ask how many reps you have left in you. And if you ever feel like you had more than 2 reps left in you, you need to go heavier. You need to increase the weight. You're going way too light. Again, like I said, it's a warm-up, but I don't want to repeat myself anymore. So now there is an exception to that. And that exception would be the only time I wouldn't worry about like going closer to failure, which is when you can't do any more reps left in a set, which by the way, I know failure is usually associated with being bad, but failure in terms of workout sets, it can be a good thing, for as long as your form is good. Going all the way to failure can be a good thing because you're pushing yourself. Now, again, for as long as form is good. But now, the only time I wouldn't go to failure or close to failure, so within 2 reps, is when you're doing a new exercise for the first time and you're figuring it out, you're seeing how it feels, you're getting to hang with the form. I wouldn't worry about going to failure there. I just do a weight that you feel comfortable with and just practice the form first. So that's the first example. The second one would be when you're coming back after a layoff. You've gone on holiday for a while, you've just come back from illness, and it's your first time exercising in a while. I wouldn't worry about going failure or close to failure there as well. I would just decrease the weight from the weight you were doing before, and then just familiarize yourself with the form again, so that in about 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, depending on how much time you weren't training for, you can get back to what you were doing before and start pushing yourself close to failure again, okay? Otherwise, any questions on the back of this, do let me know. Take care, and I'll see you around.